Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special session. We'll start this evening with the special session Board of Finance meeting with a start time of 4:33. We could begin with, hold on, I got bumped off. Give me 1 second. Okay, we'll begin with the election of officers. Ms. Dowling?
Thank you, Mr. President. Once each year in January, the corporation is required to hold a single Board of Finance meeting to elect officers, review the investment policy statement, and receive a report of the school corporation's investments from the prior year. Past practice has been to name the current officers of the Board of School Trustees to the same position for the Board of Finance. Those officers, as elected at the annual board organization meeting, are as follows: President David Warney, Vice President Scott Angel, Secretary Thomas Hoffman. The administration would recommend the same officers for the Board of Finance that serve in those positions currently with the Board of School Trustees.
Thank you, Ms. Dowling. For the recommendation to approve the same officers for the Board of Finance that serve in those positions currently with the school board. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Angel and seconded by Mr. Hoffman. I'm sorry, Mr. Babjack?
Close.
Right, close. Any questions or comments from Ms. Dowling? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries 4-0. And item 3, information items this evening. We have 3.01, the Board of Finance meeting, report of investments. Ms. Dowling?
Thank you, Mr. President. For 2020, our total interest earnings were $235,154.33. As you'll note from the picture in the board recommendation, this is significantly lower than what we received in 2019, and that would be attributable mostly to two main factors: our global pandemic and our interest rates completely bottomed out, which we saw here, because last year we were over, I think, $900,000 in interest. The second part of that is, as you recall, we spent a significant portion of the rainy day fund towards the Winfield Elementary School renovations to offset the total cost, so that obviously drew down some of what we had invested. At this point, we're keeping our investments where they are and just monitoring what's happening in the environment. The stability is what we're looking for most at this point, given the environment. So there's no recommendation, it's just filed for record.
Right. And it's just information items, but does anybody have any questions before we move on to the next item on the agenda? Brian, you can still hear okay, correct?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Dowling. 3.02 is the Crown Point City School Corporation overall investment policy. Back to Ms. Dowling.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board Policy 6144 is our investment income policy. There is no change to the policy from the previous year. If you'd like, I can read it, Mr. Warney, or I can.
We all have it in front of us.
We have the record in front of us, or the documents. Thank you, and we can move on to 3.03 is the report of the Crown Point City School Corporation financial condition using fiscal and qualitative indicators. Ms. Dowling.
Thank you, Mr. President. You recall the state of Indiana has created fiscal indicators for school corporations. This will be our second year reporting on that at the annual Board of Finance meeting, which is required by law. They've changed some of the indicators in line with our change in funds. As you remember, we used to have a general fund, a bus replacement fund, capital projects. Now we have an education fund and operations fund, so we don't have all those operational funds that we had in the past. So I'm just going to review those quickly as is required. Indicator 1, our average daily membership. That was full stereo. That's weird. We did see a slight decrease in our population. We would attribute that to COVID-19, and it was common in many school corporations in the area. We're not concerned about it. We have a secondary count coming, and we're monitoring that, but we don't think it will continue along that line. Our fund balances, all of our operational fund balances are sufficient and exceed our 15% operating balance standard. The variation in our fund types is related to the reorganization of the fund. So when you look at the actual fiscal indicators report, you'll notice that the funds from last year look different than this year, and that's why, due to the reorganization. The indicator annual deficit surplus, our revenues exceed our expenditures. The gray line in the report shows a modest increase in fund balance, which means revenue sources are increasing to some degree, none are decreasing, so those are all positive. And then our operating referendum revenue is a percent of total revenue. Operating referendum represents about 6% of our total revenue, and this is very comparable to last year's report. Given the fact that our assessed value has gone up, that's caused our operating referendum number to go up, and state tuition support has increased, which means the other funds have increased as well. So in summary, based on the fiscal indicators, our school corporation is in solid financial condition based on these factors. And the administration would recommend the acceptance of the written report on the financial condition of the school corporation based on the fiscal and qualitative indicators.
Thank you, Ms. Dowling, for the recommendation to approve and accept the written report. I'll repeat what she just mentioned on the financial condition of the school corporation based on the fiscal and qualitative indicators. We have a motion to approve the recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Babjack, and second by Mr. Angel. Any questions or comments from Ms. Dowling?
Katie, on the state's figures, that assessed value and population includes all three, Winfield, City, and Cedar Lake?
Yes,
Okay.
according to the state, yes, it does.
Thank you.
Any other questions from Ms. Dowling? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 4-0. And do we have a motion for adjournment of the special session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Angel, and second by Mr. Babjack. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. And Dr. Terrell, do we need to take 5 minutes before rolling into the next portion of our meeting?
It's
or-
up to you, or we